Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharma projita kaitava atra panamani namatsananam satam vedam ashtamam vastavam atra vastu shivanam tapatroy unamulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Krite King of Aipara Ishvara Saddha Ridi Avaruddhate Atra Kriti Vishu Shushivitakshanat. Mam Ugradarmad Akilat Pramadan Narayana Patu Narashchahashat Datas Tvayogad Atayoganatha Paya Gunesha Kapila Karnavavandat Mamugradanamat Akilat Pramadan Narayana Patu Narashchahashat Tatasta Yogat Atayoganatha Payad Gunesha Kapila Karnavavandat. Please chant. Matajis. Translation. There's no purport, so we'll read the translation to this verse and the next verse, and then the purport. May Lord Narayan protect one from unnecessarily following the false religions, religious systems, and falling from my duties due to madness. May the Lord in his appearance as Nara protect me from unnecessary pride. May Lord Dattatreya, the master of all mystic power, protect me from falling while performing bhakti yoga. And may Lord Kapila, the master of all good qualities, protect me from the material bondage of fruitive activities. Text number 17. May Sanat Kumar protect me from lusty desires. As I begin some auspicious activity, may Lord Hayagriva protect me from being an offender by neglecting to offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord. May Devarshi Narad protect me from committing offenses in worshipping the deity. And may Lord Kurma, the tortoise, protect me from falling to the unlimited hellish planets. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lusty desires are very strong in everyone, and they are the greatest impediment to the discharge of devotional service. Therefore, those who are very much influenced by lusty desires are advised to take shelter of Sanat Kumar, the great brahmachari devotee. Narad Muni, who is the guide for Archana, is the author of the Narad Pancharatra, which prescribes the regulative principles for worshipping the deity. Everyone engaged in deity worship, whether at home or in the temple, should always seek the mercy of Devarshi Narad in order to avoid the 32 offenses while worshipping the deity. These offenses in deity worship are mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada ki Mukam Karadi Bachalam Pangam Langate Girim Jat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurudam Dinatarinam. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shamati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichani Nirvishesha Sundamati Pashtadhishtani. Last week I was traveling on a train from Krishnanagar to Kolkata, and sitting next to me was one reasonably elderly gentleman, completely grey hair and beard, long beard, and dressed like a Sikh, like with a turban and long beard and a Sikh. We were sitting together, and then a little bit of chit chat, and then I thought enough of this chit chat, and then I asked him, I said, what are you doing to realize God? I asked him, what are you doing in your life to realize God? Because what else is there to talk about? Katayanta Shamam Nityam. Krishna, actually we were mentioning yesterday, I think in the class, Maya Ramugdho Jiva. Nahi Sato Krishna Gyan. That in the material world, the living in it, Maya Ramugdho is in illusion. Nahi Swato, on your own, Krishna Gyan. You can never realize Krishna. You can never realize Krishna. Prabhupada commented that some great sages, he mentioned Socrates. He said he was Atma Tattva Vigyani. He realized his eternality, but even that takes great effort. What to speak of realizing Krishna? You may, on your own effort, by the process of jnana, you can understand that I'm not this body. But to actually realize Krishna and His qualities and His activities, you can never realize on your own. You have to receive the mercy of Krishna and His representative. Krishna said, Tomar Krishna dite paro, Tomar shakati ache. Thakur Bhaktivinoda is singing that. Without the mercy of the Vaishnava, who has Krishna, who has relationship with Krishna, who has realized who is Krishna and serves Krishna, such a person can give you Krishna. Krishna dite paro. But apart from receiving Krishna from someone who has Krishna, we can never, nahi svato Krishna gyan, we can never realize. Jivada kripa koilo. Therefore, out of mercy for the conditioned souls, Jivada kripa koilo, Krishna Ved Puran. Krishna expands in the form of the Vedic literature and the Puranas. And when it comes to the Vedic literature and the Puranas, there's a Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in which he is demonstrating that actually for the Kali Yuga, the Vedic literature is not so relevant. However, it is transcendental and completely perfect, but we don't have the qualification to understand the Vedantic literature. Murka tumi tomar nahika Vedanta orikar. Ishwara Puri, Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu's Dikha Guru, at the time of initiation, he instructed Mahaprabhu that Murka tumi, you're a fool. Now this, of course, is a very interesting comment because actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was the most renowned scholar in all of India. The incident was there when Navadip Chandra. He was not even he was still teaching the young students in his school when the Digvijay Pandit, who Digvijay means all directions he'd conquered, and he heard, Navadip is still remaining. The scholars are there. Let me go and defeat the scholars of Navadip. And all of the scholars of Navadip, they heard that the Digvijay was coming to defeat them, and they were all traumatized. What are we going to do? Our reputation will be lost. So it's very interesting how Nimai, Navadip Chandra, how he dealt with this situation in a perfect way. Would you like to hear something about that? So, first of all, Nimai, he commented to the students. They said, the Digvijaya is coming. He's conquered all the world. He's conquered everybody. He's coming to conquer the scholars in Navadip. Mahaprabhu said that actually the tree which is laden with fruit, it hangs low. So a qualified person, a gunavan, gunavati, they're not proud. They're not proud. We see as the living entity advances in Krishna consciousness, a symptom of advancement in Krishna consciousness is that one becomes more and more humble in a genuine way, genuine humility. One thinks oneself lower and lower as one advances in Krishna consciousness. Just like the Goswamis. Srinivas Acharya is explaining that Nidra aha vihara kaji vijito, that vijito, they completely conquered. Vijito, they completely lost interest in Nidra aha vihara kadi. That means sleeping, eating. Nidra aha vihara kadi, recreation, etc. Vijito, they completely conquered. They completely lost interest in. The Goswamis regularly wouldn't even eat all day, 2-3 days. And they would ask each other, did we eat anything today? Oh, I can't remember. Did we eat today? I can't remember. Who cares? They lost interest in eating. Generally, Amadev Motto Shadaron Lok, we finish one meal and then immediately we're counting down the hours. When will the next meal come? আমি আগে বাংলাদেশে থাকতাম গ্রামে বাংলা বুঝেন ওনারা কিছু কতজন বাংলা বুঝেন অনেক আমি গ্রামে থাকতাম এবং আমি দেখেছি গ্রামের জীবন it's nidra ahar আর কিছু basically nidra ahar. In the morning the people get up, they take bath, immediately they start washing the pots and they build the fire, they start cooking, make a fire. And then cook rice, chocolate rice, nishjoy. Mayapore, কয়েকদিন 2 দিন আগে is a dashami. No, what is it? Dwadashi. Mayapore thaki, Dwadashi. So you hear in the morning, 6 a.m. in all of the grihastas in Mayapur, you hear the pressure cooker. Dwadashi din. Rice get over. So they start cooking, and then 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, atta noitai, chocolate, prasadam. Everyone takes rice, sabji, dal, and then few minutes lies down, and then again start preparing for lunch. That's life. That's village life. They finish, they lie down a few minutes, and then again, get the wood, get the ingredients, get the sabji, bazar teke anta hobe. And lunch, dupare shesh, tapor ektu rest, tapor shandai abar. This is life. We're living to eat. Ami chocolate onna kaina, onna, ekbar khai. Ebong Bangladeshe lokjon খবর শুনেন প্রভুজি সকালে অন্ন খান না বাবা কি করে থাকেন it's like amazing phenomena. The crowd, you don't eat rice in the morning. How you can exist? How you can? One time, one life member devotee, he made big breakfast for all of the brahmacharis on the Sankirtan party, Bangladesh. And luchi banana hoche, luchi, puri for breakfast and puri. And then after breakfast, still brahmacharis were not satisfied. Where is rice? Where is rice? So the Goswamis, nidra aha vihadakaji vijito. They completely lost interest. They forgot about eating. However, they were not at all proud of this. We don't have to eat. We're not interested in sense gratification. Just look. Particularly, Mahaprabhu appreciated the humility of Rupa and Sanatan. They are glorified because of their humility. Nidra aha vihadakaji vijito. They lost all interest in eating, in sleeping, in sense gratification. Cha atyanta dino. But they were extremely humble. Atanta dino means they were excessively humble. Nicha jati, when they saw Mahaprabhu. And they're eternal associates. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, they're manjaris, eternal associates of the Lord. And great tapasvis and great Goswamis, masters of the senses. And when they saw Mahaprabhu, it's not, hey, we're here. Yes, we've come. Yes. Their consciousness is that they're actually convinced that they are extremely low. Nicha jati, nicha shonge, potita odham, kubisha ekupe, goinanu janam. When they met Mahaprabhu, they're addressing themselves, they're introducing themselves. Nicha jati, our birth is very low. Nicha shongi, we have associated with the low class people. Potita odham, we are sinful, we are fallen. They're not just saying this because, oh, as a devotee, you're meant to be humble. I'm so fallen. No, they actually think that. They're introducing themselves. We are the most sinful, we are the most fallen, we are the most degraded from birth. Ku bishaye kupe. We're fallen into the ditch of sense enjoyment lifestyle. Ku bishaye kupe. Goinu adham. And we've wasted our human lives. And their conviction was, this is that they think like this. When Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, and Sanatan Goswami, Mahaprabhu, he sent Rupa and Sanatan to Vrindavan. Each I go shy, jabe braja koilabash, Radha Krishna nitto lila korila prakash, with the order to reveal the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. And on occasion, Rupa and Sanatan would come to Jagannath Puri and visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there was one incident when Sanatan Goswami arrived in Jagannath Puri, and Mahaprabhu saw him. This is at the residence of Haridas Thakur in Siddha Bakula, where Sanatan Goswami, he resided with Thakur Haridas. Ebong onara jodiyo nitta siddha Mahaprabhu nitta parashad bhaktara Rupa and Sanatan Thakur Haridas kokono Jagannath Mundire bitare dugini. Ebong ekba Sanatan Goswami Mahaprabhu dakchilin dupor belai Jagannath Puri. This is May Goram Kale. You can imagine Jagannath Puri on the beach in the summer, so hot. And Mahaprabhu, he called Sanatan Goswami, particularly at that time. He wanted to test Sanatan Goswami. And Sanatan Goswami came by the beach from Siddha Bakula to the Gambhira. He came by the beach. And the sand was so hot. This was 1 o'clock. The sand was so burning. His feet were blistered. His feet were blistered in the sand. And Mahaprabhu said, Ki hoyeche? Pa noshta hoye giyeche. Oto goram pote eshecho keno? Why are you coming in the path by the beach? And Sanatan Goswami said that, but he was serious. He's seriously believing. He said, but if I went through past the Jagannath Mandir, perhaps some of the servants of Lord Jagannath would see me and become contaminated. Or even they may touch me and become contaminated. And this would be a great offense. This is the consciousness of such an elevated devotee. And when Mahaprabhu, Sanatan Goswami arrived, and Mahaprabhu commented that your brother, Tinjon Chilen, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, ebong Sri Ballabha Anupam, Tinjon Bhai. And Mahaprabhu commented that Anupam has departed and attained the lotus feet of Sri Ram. And Sanatana Goswami's response, his response, what he said? What would we say? Some great devotee says, "Oh, your brother, he left the world in such a glorious way." What would we say? "Oh, yes, well, he's so fortunate. Yes, it's very good." We would say. And Mahaprabhu says, "Anupam has attained the lotus feet of Sri Ram." And Sanatana Goswami says, "Our family is extremely degraded. Our family is extremely degraded." So even Mahaprabhu is glorifying him, and he cannot think like that, because he only considers himself to be fallen and completely unqualified. So this is the consciousness of a very advanced devotee. So Mahaprabhu was explaining to his students that this Digbijay Pandit, he's so proud, but actually pride, the quality of pride, is very much unattractive to Sri Krishna and the Vaishnavas. The quality of pride is if we have pride, then it's a great obstacle in progressing in a spiritual life, because it's a very unpleasant and unattractive quality for a Vaishnava, for anybody. Just like you can see the world leaders today. There's one world leader there in America. He's always in the news. His qualities. You look at his quality. He's a very boastful person. Very boastful. He's very proud. He can never admit that he made a mistake. And this person, because of he's expert in insulting others. These are the qualities. And what is interesting, or what is not interesting, but it's deplorable, that the people of America, they elected him because of his qualities. That is the degraded society that we have come to, that they value that pride, boastfulness, arrogance, the expert in insulting others, unable to admit one's own mistakes, no humility. That's what the people, that they appreciate that. That's why they elected him as the leader. We just see what the world has come to. Yani shashalava bhutanam yasham jagati bhutani. For the modern materialist, this humility, that's for losers. Humility, that's for losers. What's nighttime for the sage is a time of awakening for the self-realized soul. The qualities that the devotees are developing and cultivating, materialists have no conception like this. Complete opposite, night and day. So Mahaprabhu was explaining that this pride is very much unattractive. And he said that, however, I will, the tree which is laden with fruits, gunavan, gunavati, it bows down. And those with nothing, they stand up very high. And Mahaprabhu said that, however, the Lord cannot tolerate this pride, and the Lord will rectify the situation. And when he arrived on an elephant. Can you imagine riding on an elephant? Well, who rides an elephant? Well, that's pretty prestigious entrance. Madan Mohan? Madan Mohan. Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki. And with a troupe of musicians, horses, cavalry, assistants, servants, big procession, entourage, and he's riding on the elephant. Boom, boom, with the sound, boom, boom, here comes the Digbijay Ashchen, Shabai Pranam Koro, boom, boom, boom. But interesting that Mahaprabhu, he did not he did not meet with the Digvijay in the public forum. Usually, in such a situation, there would be a program arranged, and the pundits would gather, and all of the people would come, and there would be formal introductions and speeches. And this is the formal way of the Raja Shabha. The pundits, they all sit together. But Mahaprabhu thought that if I remove his pride in such a public forum, he won't be able to tolerate that. We can learn from this that those who are in leadership position, that we should not publicly chastise our dependents. We should not chastise them in front of others, because that is very humiliating, very painful. If we're chastising or correcting our dependents, that should be done privately. So Mahaprabhu, in a casual way, he was sitting there, and the Digvijay asked, who is this? Surrounded by the students. And the students said, this is Nimai Pandit. And the Digvijay said, yes, we have heard, the famous Nimai Pandit. And Mahaprabhu says, we are honored that you have visited us. Such a great scholar with reputation and fame that extends throughout the three worlds. Kindly be merciful to us and compose some glorification of Mother Ganga. And there, on the spot, spontaneously, the Digvijay, he began to recite verses glorifying Mother Ganga. And the verses were flowing from his lips like a cascading waterfall. Beautiful verses, one after another, without preparation. He's just composing and immediately reciting. And all of the students of Navadip Chandra, Nimai Pandit, the students, their mouths were dropped open with complete astonishment. They'd never seen such a mystical phenomena. This Digvijay, he had the blessing, he had the boon of Saraswati Devi, that whenever he spoke, she would personally manifest on his tongue. So actually, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning and education, she herself was speaking this glorification of Mother Ganga. And then, having completed his 100 verses, Mahaprabhu said, "Very nice. Now, Panditji, could you kindly analyze the alankars, the credit and the faults in your verses?" And the Digvijay said, What? Who do you think you are? You're just a teacher of children's grammar. And you are considering that in my compositions there is a fault? Immediately proud. And then Mahaprabhu, he very expertly identified he repeated verses, 3 verses that had been quoted so quickly. And the Digvijay said, how you were able to memorize? I quoted. How you can remember? And Mahaprabhu said, just as some people are expert in composing, others are expert in remembering by the mercy of the Lord. And he identified 3 significant mistakes. Bhavani Bhatur, he's referring to Mother Parvati as Bhavani Bhartu, the wife of Bhavani, the husband of Bhava. And then he's explaining how the grammar, if the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, Bhavani Bhartu means she has another husband. And in this way he identified various mistakes. And then Mahaprabhu said, actually there are unlimited mistakes, but I've just mentioned 3. And at this stage, the Digvijay was completely traumatized. He'd never experienced such a thing. Generally, people were not even able to understand his introductory verses. What to speak of his main recitation. Just like in many years ago, Ravi Shankar, he was friend of George Harrison, who was friend of Prabhupada. Ravi Shankar, a famous musician. So he was invited to 1968 to Woodstock, a famous pop festival with the hippies in America. Our devotees were there. They began preaching. Ujjain Prabhu, we began preaching at that time. So Ravi Shankar was there, and he's with his team. He's doing the sitar, and they're tuning the instruments. Bang, dang, dang, bang, dang. The sitar, the veena, the harmonium, the tabla. They're tuning. And they finish the tuning, and all the hippies go, oh, oh. You can still see that on YouTube, it's there. And Ravi Shankar says, oh, if you like the tuning, I hope you like the performance. So Mahaprabhu has explained, people, they can't even usually understand his introduction to the main verse. What to speak of memorize and identify the mistakes. তারপর মহাপ্রভু বলছেন নবদ্বীপ চন্দ্র বলছেন ঠিক আছে থাক ওই কবিতা থাক এখন নতুন একটা বলো ওটা থাক কয়েকটা ভুল হয়েছে ঠিক আছে এখন নতুন একটা কবিতা বলো you leave this poem aside and you compose a new poem. Let's hear that. And then the Digvijay was completely silenced. He was trying to speak, but no sound would come from his lips. This is an unprecedented phenomena. He who had the command of Saraswati, the Ashirvad of Saraswati Devi, who whenever he spoke, the goddess of learning himself would manifest on his tongue, was silenced and could not utter a word. And all of Nimai's students, they began to laugh. And Nimai said, Chup! Chup! Don't laugh. And then Nimai said, it's very late. He was actually, the way that Nimai chastised him is so exemplary. He did it in such a way that he was able to accept it. And Navadip Chandra said, no, it's very late now. You must be very tired. You just arrived. You know, we're asking, it's too much. You go and take rest, and then tomorrow again we'll meet and we can discuss further. So the Pandit was completely perplexed. What have I done? What aparad have I done in the worship of Saraswati Devi? What aparad have I done that today she has abandoned me? So that night he was chanting the propitiatory mantra to Saraswati Devi. This is the mantra Bigyan. That because of his chanting of the mantra, he was able to oblige Saraswati Devi to empower him. This is the power of mantra Bigyan. We can actually, by chanting the mantra, we can attract the attention of the worshipable deity by chanting the pranam mantra. That's why we chant the pranam mantra. The Guru Pranam Mantra, Prabhupada Pranam Mantra. We chant the mantras, and the mercy, the presence of the personality is invoked in the mantra sound. And this is why we chant the mantra. It's very powerful. So he was chanting the mantra, and Saraswati appeared to him as he was dreaming. She appeared to him. She said, purposefully today, I did not appear on your tongue. And he said, well, what, why? And she said, purposefully, I did not appear on your tongue, and therefore you couldn't speak. And she said, because how can the chaste wife appear in a predominant position in the presence of her husband? She said, out of shyness in the presence of my husband, I was unable to manifest. And she said, that Pandit, Navadip Chandra, who today defeated you. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is my worshipable Lord. In His presence, I could not manifest my opulence. And in that way, I abandoned you. She said, but actually, today you have attained the real purpose of chanting my mantra, and that you have reached the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now you go and surrender to Him. And so, in this way, the Digvijay received the mercy of Navadip Chandra. And he came the next day and he surrendered and received the full mercy of the Lord. And he became a preacher of Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Saraswati and by the mercy of the Lord. So Mahaprabhu was no murka. He was a great scholar. However, in the presence of his guru, Ishwarapuri, he considered himself a fool. Murka tumi tomar nahika vaidanta adhikar Krishna nama japa shara e mantrasar. You just chant Hare Krishna. This is the essence of all the Vedas. So Mahaprabhu, by this interaction with Ishwarapuri, he's explaining to us that in the Kali Yuga, the Vedas are not so relevant. We should just chant Hare Krishna. It's interesting to note that when Srila Prabhupada brought the Hare Krishna mantra with him on the Jaladuta in his journey, Jaladuta Jatra, in his journey to New York, he also collected and brought along the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the style of the preaching of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nana Shastra Bicharanoiko Nipano Sat Dharma Sangstapako. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami are glorified because the Sat Dharma, the eternal principle of Krishna consciousness and of worshipping Lord Hari by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is the principle which Mahaprabhu came to establish. Kirtaniya Sada Hari. This is the ultimate principle of Mahaprabhu's teachings. But the followers of Mahaprabhu, they unequivocally establish and proclaim the Sat Dharma, the eternal principle of Krishna consciousness, of Harinam Sankirtan, with the evidences of the various Puranic literature. Nana Shastra Bicharanaika Nipuno Sat Dharma Sangstapako. Sangstapan, in order to firmly establish. So our acharyas, you can see, they're great scholars. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Rupa and Sanatan. But their scholarship is not something like academics or simply knowledge. It is simply glorification of the Nam Sankirtan movement and the teaching of the glories of the name and of the eternal principle of service to Lord Sri Hari. Even Mahaprabhu received the order from his spiritual master at the time of initiation. Nache gao bhakti shonge koro shankirtan. You should dance. Nache gao. You should sing. Bhakti shonge, in the association of the devotees, koro shankirtan. And in addition to chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna nama upadeshi tara sarvajan. You should teach Krishna nama upadeshi, the science of Krishna consciousness. Tara sarvajan. You should educate all people. And this is particularly the mission of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to spread the holy name all over the world by educating the people in the teachings of Krishna consciousness, as Srila Prabhupada has given us in his transcendental literatures, and in this way inundate the whole world in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Ajke kono prashna ache. What we finish 8:45 finish time, yes? So 5 minutes.
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Special consideration.
Thank you very much for such an enlivening class with the practical examples. Like here you mentioned like one point regarding the duty of the leader, and in the the translation of the 16th verse also you mentioned the falling from the duties. So like in one sense, like if some leader or some individual is seeing the fault of some other individual or his subordinate, still if he is not correcting, just to remain in the goodwill of the common people, devotee community, or his superiors, some wrong decision, wrong activity, just to remain in the goodwill of the others. So is it also kind of falling from the duties?
Well, correcting is a separate category than instructing. So you're suggesting that we should correct publicly because in that way we instruct everybody. No. We should instruct everybody in a formal way. It's not that only through correction that we give instruction. Instruction has to be there in a systematic way for all of the trainees, for all of the devotees. Instruction has to be there. And when it comes to correction, that can be done in a private way. And not that we only through correction do we instruct. That's very abusive. Other questions? Yes.
As you mentioned, how humble Sanatan Goswami and Mahaprabhu was, but in my case, I try to be humble, but my mind opposes. So,
That's such a qualified person as yourself. It's very difficult to be humble. I can relate to that. I can understand that. With so many good qualities, how is it possible for you to be humble? Very difficult. Yes. So there's a question, is there?
so how can I get this humility?
Pretend to be humble. Just pretend to be humble. Although it's very difficult for such a qualified person, but just pretend to be humble. But that's the point, that as a person advances, then actually they actually understand their qualities. And then naturally they become humble because we're in illusion. We think we're so qualified. We think we're so highly situated. It's such an illusion. Jogata bichar kichu nahi pai. If we examine my qualifications, Jogata bichar kichu nahi pai. I have no qualifications. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not just pretending to say that. He doesn't see any good qualification in himself. He sees good qualification in others and he sees no good qualification in himself, and he only considers himself a recipient of the mercy of the others. So that attitude actually manifests in reality as the devotee realizes his self and realizes his insignificance. Yes?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just like was saying that how Mahaprabhu very systematically, very etiquettely corrected Digbhuja Pandit. Very etiquettely corrected Digbhuja Pandit. So by studying Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat or these scriptures, how we can understand or how we can find out this etiquette and how we can apply in our life.
Yeah, we quoted half of the verse. We Jivara Kripa Kolo Krishna Ved Puran. So the Puranic literature, Bhagavat Puran, Krishna Leela, Bhagavate, Kohe Ved Vyas, Chaitanya Leela, Vyas, Vrindavan Das. So whatever we say about the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavatam, the same applies for the Chaitanya Bhagavat and the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, because they're compiled by the same person, yes, as Vrindavan Das. So we have to hear the descriptions of the Lord's activities, of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Sri Gauda Modurya Leela Ja Arkane Probeshila Ridoya Nirmal Bhelotar Ridoya Nirmal Bhelotar. Jai Gauranga Modur Leela Ja Arkane Probeshila. Those whose ears the sweet pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enter into, Ridoy Nirmal. the heart becomes completely purified. So we have to hear. Vaishnav Sangha, we take association of the devotees, we hear what Krishna speaks, we hear Krishna's qualities, we hear about Krishna's activities, we hear about his interactions with his devotees. Just by hearing, everything is revealed, everything is assimilated, everything is understood. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Nitai Gauda Pramanandi Hari Hari Bo.